Good morning and welcome to GrainTV. My name is Cody Bills and this is Brock Shimano. Today is October 20th. In the overnight session, corn did nothing, beans did nothing, and wheat did slightly better than nothing, up 2 3/4. Beans, however, yesterday had a little bit of a rough patch, down over 20, just on some mean-spirited rumors that Taiwan rejected some tenders for 40,000 metric tons of beans. There was also a rumor out there that China canceled 2 cargoes of beans. That is just adding to an already weak supply scenario. That rumor on China canceling the cargoes has yet to be confirmed, but it did its damage. In terms of demand, though, Brock, can you take us through export sales this morning?
Yeah, Cody. Export sales did come out this morning. We were on the lower end of expectations for corn and wheat. Soybeans, we missed those expectations. Maybe it was because of some of the rejected tenders coming out of the Southeast Asia. We haven't seen it in the market yet, but we will see it next week in the export sales.
Yeah, if it is confirmed.
If it is confirmed, we will see it next week. Basically, what we did see this week, though, is corn was up about 40% week on week. We came in at about 1.8 million metric tons, which was at the lower end of expectations. But China did buy a whopping 900,000 metric tons, almost half of our export sales last week were going to China. Mexico and South Korea were also noted buyers there. On the soybean side of things, we did miss expectations. China, again, was a large purchaser in that market, 331,000 metric tons there. But wheat, again, lower end of expectations, but Mexico, Philippines, noted buyers. Something I would like to say, though, is that we did not have any Middle East sales this week in the wheat market. So I'm looking at that as we still have a ton of competition out of the Black Sea area, Russia, some of these other areas that had a pretty good crop last year are still putting pressure on our export markets as we go forward here. That's what's going on in the export fronts. When we come back from commercial, we are going to talk a little bit about the dollar. And we're also going to talk about some news on the commodity funds front.
Absolutely. Welcome back to GrainTV. The market is now open. Brock, what are you seeing going on?
Yeah, it looks like we're a little bit weaker to start out this morning. December corn is down about 2, soybeans down about 4 to 5. Wheat is down about 2 to 3 right now, depending on if you're looking at Chicago or Kansas City. So we are seeing a little bit more weakness here this morning.
Yeah, one of the major themes that I think that we're talking about, the Eurozone is a big issue over there. But when we talk about the Eurozone, really what we're talking about is the dollar and what the dollar is going to do. I noticed you had some observations that you wanted to talk about. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, basically I wanted to see how the dollar index effects on wheat and corn contracts. Both of those contracts are one of our biggest exports, especially wheat. So I just wanted to see how that dollar index movements are affecting the movements of wheat and corn. And basically what we see by this chart is there is some correlation between the two. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be solely based upon what the dollar index is doing. But when we did hit those lows and when we hit the highs in the dollar index, the corn and wheat markets were actually on the opposite end of that. They were hitting their lows and then they were hitting their highs when the dollar was at their lows. So basically what we see here is that there is a little bit of correlation. It's not solely driven by that dollar index, but it is something going forward to keep in mind, as right now there's not a whole lot of new fundamental news out there, so the markets are going to have to look to other aspects of these prices to pay attention to.
Yeah, I know. When we look at Europe, I mean, right now on Sunday, there's going to be the summit. This morning, there was some skepticism that will actually happen. There may be they may postpone it. So that put a little bit of fear in the market that they don't actually have any sort of resolution or agreement that we were hoping for. But we'll have to see. If they have some sort of agreement, I'm almost certain that the euro is going to rally on that news. We're going to see the dollar step off a little bit. It's mostly just on the fact that people are going to be happy that something is being done. However, I'm really concerned about the debt situation over there, and I'm concerned that in the longer term, when we look out 6 months, we're going to continue to see the dollar strengthen. And as you can see here, when the dollar strengthens, that does nothing good for the grains. You can see, obviously, at the highs, we're at the lows in grains. that's going to be we're going to be swimming upstream. I think. I said it last show. I'll say it again. I'm concerned that we're going to be swimming upstream in terms of dollar strength.
Definitely. Well, let's switch gears a little bit, Cody, and let's take a look at what the commodity funds have on the horizon for them. We do know that there are some new regulations coming out. Why don't you just take us through a little bit of what's going on there?
Yeah, so yesterday the CFTC voted 3-2 to impose limits on the commodities markets. This is a result of the Frank and Dodd Act, which mandated that the CFTC needs to do something to regulate the futures market. This is going to affect corn, beans, and wheat. It's going to affect 84 of the largest traders of certain agricultural products, but it won't affect hedgers. So this is more to weed out excessive speculation. Now, there has been a lot of resistance from the futures industry. They're not liking this new regulation. As you can see, it's a close vote, 3-2. I don't think there's going to be an effect right yet. They still have to define what a swap is, really, and then it goes into effect 60 days after that definition is established. So the bottom line is it won't affect anything right now, but down the road, this is a big deal, and we're going to have to really pay attention to the effects this has on the markets. We're going to have to really read over these regulations very carefully.
Right. My thoughts on that really is, I don't know if it's going to really curb speculation a whole lot. What I see it doing is maybe spreading it across more funds out there. Instead of having several large funds, we might have a dozen or more larger funds, or smaller funds, same amount of positions, but it's just going to be spread out a little bit thinner.
Yeah, and that could very well be the effect that it has. Well, that's going to just about wrap it up for today. We appreciate you joining us, and we will see you on Friday for the afternoon wrap-up.